Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Captain Voorhees' Cabinet of Curiosities. I'm your host, Jason, and today I have for you my Sega Saturn and my collection. The Sega Saturn, I want to say, originally came out in 1994 over in Japan. It didn't come out over here in the States until 95, and while it was a success overseas, it was pretty much kind of a wet fart over here, which is sad because it's an awesome system. A lot of that was Sega of America kind of basically trying to rush it, trying to beat Sony and the PlayStation 1. And it was really odd how they announced it over here. Basically, the E3 that year, the Sega president at the time, he was pushing to move it back because there wasn't a whole lot of launch games, at least over here for the Saturn. But I mean, they did have some good stuff right at launch, but you didn't have your Sonics, things like that, and other like big third-party developers on board yet. So yeah, the E3 that year, basically, they did the presentation, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's out now. So everybody's scrambling trying to get it, and kind of like what's happened, somewhat what happened today with the PlayStation 5s and the Xbox Series, whatever the hell it's called now, Series X. Not enough systems. Granted, different circumstances, but still, limited consoles available, and I want to say the price point was $399, so decent chunk of change, especially back then in '95. So between the very lackluster launch, the price point at the time, because Sony came out the same E3, it's going to come out later on, $299, and then basically mic dropped and walked off the stage. So they got all the big fanfare, and the rest is history. Again, it's really sad because the Saturn, the Dreamcast, both awesome systems, especially if you were big into playing stuff in the arcade, because Sega, they took care of making the ports as close to the arcade as possible. And, a lot of the other systems, they didn't do that. So, whether it's something like, let's say, Marvel vs. Capcom. Granted, it's not on here. It's on the Dreamcast and the PlayStation 1. Same game, two totally different experiences because, the load times and all that were atrocious on the PlayStation 1. And, choppy frame rates, laggy gameplay, all that stuff. Whereas, the Sega systems, they took pride into keeping that that close experience, which probably goes back to just it originating in Japan. Arcades are all over the place in Japan. They're a big thing. Wish that was still the case here, but I digress. So I guess you're also saying, okay, you got a Saturn. How are you playing it? Are you playing it on, an old CRT or anything like that? No, I'm not. What I have is the Hyperkin Saturn HDMI converter. And as you can see on here, well, you can't really see, but there's a little switch on here. It also will put it from 4x3 to 16x9, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, has your cord to go into your Saturn there, and then on the other end, of course, HDMI. And it also, cleans up the video some. Hyperkin's pretty good about their little conversion boxes or whatever, and this is probably the cheapest, one of the cheapest ways to play it at a high fidelity on your monitors, your smart TVs, all that jazz. So yeah, definitely that's the way to go if you want to play it nowadays. Now let's get into my little mini collection of games right here. I don't have a whole lot because, again, for the most part, you have to get them online. Your retro gaming stores are, kind of extinct, or, they're at least on the extinction list, sadly. Again, I like going in, checking out what's at the stores, that kind of thing. So yeah, you have to rely on, eBay and that kind of stuff. And again, because the launch and, the console life over here was, so small and everything, the print runs on the games were very, very limited, and therefore there goes the price. And then also for some stupid reason, I guess they just had a bunch of leftover clamshells from the Sega CD and all that, but you got this big bulky thing, case, and maybe that also kind of raised the price, even back then on the games and stuff. I don't remember, because again, I never had a Sega Saturn. I went from Genesis, and then later on down the line, I bought not the first PlayStation 1, but the little itty bitty, I guess, version 2, and then I had I bought an N64 and a Dreamcast, that kind of thing. But yeah, let's get to my collection. As you can see, this is one of the few North American games that I actually have in my collection, and Street Fighter the movie. Crappy game, crappy movie, but nostalgia, and I like it for the lulz. They digitize. They did the character models from all the actors in the movie. Added a couple other guys that weren't in there, but I played it in an arcade. I went to the theater and watched the movie. Raul Julia carried the movie. He was fucking phenomenal throughout the whole thing. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I mean, he was battling cancer while he was filming this. The only reason he did this was because his kids were really into the game and wanted him to do it. So he did that entire performance going through cancer treatments and all that, and then sadly he passed away right after the filming of it. But I mean, if nothing else, go on YouTube, look up his monologue that he says to Chun-Li about for me it was Tuesday. That's, if nothing else, just watch that, because that's awesome. So yeah, I got Street Fighter the movie, and then I also have Virtua Fighter 1 and 2. Sadly, I don't have the cases. I might have to get that later on, but Virtua Fighter was one of the launch titles for the Saturn, and again, people were amazed by how close it was to the arcade. And then Virtua Fighter 2 came out too, late, year or two later. So yeah, that's the entirety of my North American Dreamcast or Saturn collection. And again, most of my stuff right now are fighting games, because again, trying to track down the stuff, the prices are insane. And while I have a means to play imports, which I will show here in a few minutes, again, if you're trying to do an RPG or something like that, I don't read Japanese. So, you have to kind of pick and choose what you get. But yeah, on that end, let's keep on going. So then I also have Virtua Fighter Remix. I want to say this was like an updated version of Virtua Fighter 1, to where I guess, got all the patches and all that stuff in, and then they released this. And I mean, again, the Japanese game art on the carts, and I mean, even the cartridges or the disc, which I'll show in one of these other ones. I mean, it's so much better than what we got over here. This is, hand drawn. You probably licensed somebody out to do it. So I mean, you look at that; it's great. And then we would get this, again, this itty bitty little thing, and then this whole other crap, Sega Saturn, blah 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 blah. It's ugly. It's aesthetically, I vomit. It's sad that we got the short end of the stick on that kind of thing. So next up, I have Deep Fear. Basically, Deep Fear is Sega's answer to Resident Evil. Resident Evil came out on the Saturn also, but absolute monster hit on the PlayStation 1. And they put their names in the hat, came up with Deep Fear. So basically, well, for lack of a better term, it's we'll say Resident Evil, except you're on a submarine. So you had that very close, again, well, in Resident Evil 1, eventually you get out of the mansion and all that kind of stuff. But here, you're on the sub. It has that, isolation, that claustrophobic feeling. Plus you have to worry about oxygen levels and stuff like that later on when, like, cabins and stuff flood and all that. Same kind of tank controls as Resident Evil 1. That's your thing. I absolutely hate that. But, it's what we had at the time. So this kind of, heavy into Japanese, you can kind of fumble through some of the, options or whatever. But looking for a better way to play this in the future. But, hey, you go with what you got. Next up, I have Street Fighter Collection. So basically, this is the, like the anniversary collections of Street Fighter 2. So, Street Fighter 2, Turbo, Championship Edition, Super Turbo, all that stuff is on here. And let's see. Again, look at that manual art as it falls on my case. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then, like on the disc itself, has that beautiful etching on it. We got generic crap on ours. I hate that. But yeah. So, again, fighting games, you don't really have to know Japanese or, foreign language to play those. So, universal. And now, the rest of my collection is pretty much the rest of the Capcom fighting games. Except for like the Alpha series, because I don't have those currently. Or over there it was Street Fighter Zero. But first, I have XMen Children of the Atom. Again, I'm harping on the art there. Gorgeous. I played a lot of that in arcade. Probably one of the first, after like the Street Fighter 2, might have been the next fighting game series that I played. And again, look at that. Gorgeous. And it's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of like cheap stuff in this, but I mean, it feels like comic accurate, when Wolverine goes into a barrage, or Cyclops, busts out a optic blast that, takes up the entire screen and stuff. So, Capcom worked really well with Marvel getting the the powers and stuff, as close as they could. So I want to say Coda came out first, and then I think it's the next year, Marvel Superheroes came out. So this one, is on the other end of the spectrum. So you have, Captain America, you have Hulk. There's, of course, a couple mutants in here like Psylocke and Wolverine, but you got Spidey. You got some lesser-known like villains like Shuma Gorath, Blackheart. The casual person wouldn't know that. So it's cool that they branched out and got those extra characters in the game. And Iron Man's in here, and in this one you have to beat the end boss is Thanos, and he has the Infinity Gauntlet and all the stones and all that. So that was a cool little feature for this one also. So you fight as you go through your fights. You can get the Infinity Gems, and each one does a different thing. So, like the Soul Gem, you can activate that, and it gives you some regeneration. Reality Gem, just random crap will start coming from your character, like like little mini asteroids or whatever, and hit your opponent, things like that. I think the Time Gem lets you speed up, so you're going super turbo speed. So it's cool, cool little game mechanic that they put in there. And I want to say they brought that back with was it Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? I just know a little bit about it from watching gameplay videos, but yeah, another cool one. And yeah, I played this one in arcade too. More so the X-Men one than this. But then that leads up to one that I played a shit ton of. X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And again, awesome art. So yeah, basically it took part of the roster from Coda, and then part of the roster from Street Fighter, put them together. And this one, you're fighting, the end boss is Apocalypse. But, this is the first one also where you have your tag team. Team. So you pick two people, you go through and, try to take out Apocalypse at the end of it. So yeah, my usual go-to, I would do like Cammy and Gambit, or like Ken and Gambit, or Rogue too. I like Rogue in here. Yeah, look at that, pretty. Then I think also they had some of the like the alternate like powers or abilities of some of these people in this one. Like I can't remember if you could be you can turn into Evil Ryu in this one. I want to say Zangief could do could go into his little armored mecha form or whatever. So cool little Easter egg things like that. And also with starting with this one right here, these to run better would come with a 4 megabyte RAM card that would go into the Saturn's expansion port right here. So that way that had the extra space to load the game up quicker and get the sprites popping, and reduce the lag a lot. So while I don't think it was absolutely necessary, for the most part, yeah, it was. Again, to get that arcade experience at home. And then the last one out of the Capcom Marvel series, and actually I just got this, just came in a couple days ago, was Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. So basically this is Marvel vs. Capcom 0, if you want to look at it that way. Combines majority of the rosters, or a good amount of the rosters from Children of the Atom and Marvel Superheroes, and then even more Street Fighter people. So like in this one, like Sakura is in there from like Sakura, Dan, I think a couple more that escape me right now, but from the Alpha or Zero series are mixed in here too. And yeah, you could do the little alternate forms of them as well. Like Sakura, she could be Dark Sakura and plays more like Ryu or normal Ryu. And again, this also came with the little RAM cart, so you can again play it better. And yeah, I'm going to show that off as well. And then we're getting down to my last two, and they're Vampire Hunter, which is Darkstalkers 2, and Vampire Savior, which is Darkstalkers 3. Also, awesome Capcom games. One or both. I know this one definitely had the RAM cart with it. I can't remember if Darkstalkers 2 did or not. So over in Japan, it was like the Vampire Hunter series. We know it as Darkstalkers. Again, gorgeous art. So it was really cool how they took like pretty much the old Universal monsters, and then made this whole kind of dark universe, and came up with the characters with them, and actually made it kind of you feel true to what they would be. So you have like Dimitri's Dracula, you got Frankenstein's monster in there. You have like a vampire, hunter character as well. You got Felicia who's the cat person. Can't remember who the werewolf, what his name is. Is it Tolbin or something like that? But it hits all the monsters. And then of course, Vampire Savior adds a few more. Like there's a zombie rock star in here, so he's playing guitar and hit you with moves and stuff. And then BB Hood right there, you might recognize her from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. That's actually how I came to know her first. I didn't even know about this later, because again, over here I want to say I definitely played Darkstalkers 1 at the arcade, but that was it. Most of the ones around here we didn't get 2 or 3, so I didn't even know about this until later on. And well, this one's not so impressive, but I'll still show it off anyway. Again, that's majority right there. Majority of the Capcom fighters. Again, I'm missing Street Fighter Alphas, but that's not too big of a deal. But again, I got all those imports. How am I playing them over here? Well, that's with this little device right here that also functions as the RAM, the little RAM card expansion for those fighting games and some of the other ones. This is a Sega Saturn that I got off of eBay. Again, you put it into the expansion base spot, and the program and everything on here allows you to play your imports. And then you have your little toggle for the 1 megabyte and then the 4 meg to switch to put it on the appropriate level for the game. I usually just keep mine on the 4. I'm not sure if it actually hurts the game or not, if it doesn't go all the way up there or not. I wouldn't imagine so, but hey, I mean, if you know, let me know in the comments or whatever. But again, yeah, that's how I reliably play my imports on my American Saturn. There's some like action replays that you can get off of like Amazon and stuff, I would not recommend that. Only because, like, I tried 3 different ones, or 3 different times with that to work on my system, and all 3 of them didn't. So whether it was just a faulty card at the time, whether I was potentially getting scammed, which I didn't, because with Amazon, you can get your money back and all that. I opted to pay, double what it was. So I think it was like 50 bucks I paid for this, and boom, reliability. And it has, again, the function to where, the extra RAM. So 2 in 1, boom. But there you have it, guys. That's my Sega Saturn collection as it currently stands in September of 2021. Let me know what you got also. What your favorite game on the Saturn is. Do you have any, rare games? Right now, pretty much the majority of my Capcom fighting games are my rare ones now, because when I got them, they weren't too expensive. Now, like 20 bucks. So, basically what you're paying for a movie. I got the majority of those, and that was like last year. So I mean, still during the pandemic, but nobody was jacking the price up that much. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and hope you enjoyed this video. And again, thanks for coming on this ride with me. Game on.